The fluorescent lights of Chicago Memorial Hospital hummed their familiar tune as Marcus Webb pushed through the revolving doors, his 7-year-old daughter Maya's hand firmly clasped in his. The November wind had been brutal that morning, whipping off Lake Michigan with the kind of cold that cuts straight through winter coats. Maya's cheeks were flushed red, and she coughed, a deep, rattling sound that had kept Marcus awake for 3 nights straight. "Daddy, my chest hurts," Maya whispered, her small voice barely audible over the bustling emergency room. Marcus knelt down, his worn work boots squeaking against the polished floor. "I know, sweetheart. We're going to get you checked out, okay? The doctors here are going to make you feel better." His calloused hands, stained with engine oil that never quite washed out, gently brushed her dark curls away from her forehead. She was burning up. The ER waiting room was a sea of misery. An elderly man clutched his arm, a young mother rocked a screaming infant, and teenagers with sports injuries sprawled across the plastic chairs. Marcus approached the registration desk, where a tired-looking woman in scrubs barely looked up from her computer screen. "Name and date of birth," she said mechanically. "Maya Webb, April 15th, 2016. She's got a high fever, bad cough, and she's having trouble breathing." Marcus's voice cracked slightly. He'd been a single father for 4 years now, ever since Sarah had walked out, claiming she wasn't cut out for motherhood. Every illness, every scraped knee, every parent-teacher conference, he'd handled it all alone while working double shifts at Rodriguez Auto Repair on the south side. The receptionist's fingers flew across the keyboard. "Insurance?" Marcus's stomach tightened. We're between policies right now. I can pay cash or set up a payment plan. The consultation fee is $350, plus any tests or treatments." Her tone remained flat, unsympathetic. Marcus felt his pockets. His wallet held $180s, money he'd been saving for Maya's birthday next month. His next paycheck wasn't until Friday, and rent was already 2 weeks late. "Please," Marcus leaned forward, his voice dropping. "She needs help. Look at her, she can barely breathe. I'll work out the payment, I promise. I've never defaulted on a debt in my life." The receptionist finally looked up, her eyes moving to Maya, who was now leaning heavily against her father's leg, her small chest heaving with each breath. Something softened in the woman's expression. "Take a seat. I'll see what I can do." Marcus carried Maya to the corner seats, furthest from the television blaring daytime talk shows. He held her close, feeling the heat radiating from her small body. 20 minutes passed, then 40. Maya's breathing became more labored. "Sir?" A young nurse appeared, clipboard in hand. "Maya Webb?" Marcus practically jumped up, scooping his daughter into his arms. They were led through a maze of corridors, past rooms filled with beeping monitors and worried families, until they reached a small examination room. "The doctor will be right with you," the nurse said, taking Maya's temperature and oxygen levels. Her face tightened when she saw the numbers. "Has she had these symptoms long?" 3 days. I thought it was just a cold, but last night..." Marcus swallowed hard. "Last night I woke up, and she wasn't in her bed. I found her sitting on the bathroom floor because she couldn't breathe lying down." The nurse made notes, her expression growing more concerned. "Wait here." After she left, Marcus noticed something odd. His reflection in the metal paper towel dispenser showed a man who looked far older than his 32 years. Dark circles under his eyes, worry lines carved deep, his Chicago Bears hoodie, the same one he'd worn for 3 years, frayed at the cuffs. When had he stopped taking care of himself? The door opened again, and a doctor entered. She was in her mid-40s, with kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses and graying hair pulled back in a neat bun. Her name tag read, Dr. Patricia Simmons. "Hello, Maya. I'm Dr. Simmons. I hear you're not feeling very well." She spoke directly to Maya, not over her head to Marcus like so many doctors did. Marcus appreciated that. The examination was thorough. Dr. Simmons listened to Maya's lungs, looked at her throat, pressed gently on her abdomen. With each passing moment, her expression grew more serious. "Mr. Webb, Maya has pneumonia. Quite advanced, I'm afraid. Her oxygen saturation is at 89%. Normal is 95 and above. She needs to be admitted immediately. We'll need to start IV antibiotics and possibly oxygen support. The words hit Marcus like a physical blow. Admitted, as in overnight. At least several days. This is serious, Mr. Webb. If left untreated, pneumonia can be life-threatening, especially in children. Marcus's mind raced. Days in the hospital meant days of not working. It meant astronomical bills. It meant, how much? The question came out as barely a whisper. Dr. Simmons's expression softened. Let's focus on getting Maya well. We can discuss finances with our billing department, but there are programs. I can work. I can figure it out. Marcus stood abruptly, then sat back down, realizing he had nowhere to go. I'm sorry, She's all I have. Dr. Simmons placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. We're going to take care of her. That's what matters right now. As Maya was wheeled to the pediatric ward, Marcus walked beside the gurney, holding her hand. The hospital seemed to stretch on forever, endless hallways painted in that peculiar shade of institutional green, meant to be soothing, but somehow making everything feel more clinical, more terrifying. The pediatric ward was different. Bright murals of animals and cartoon characters covered the walls. Maya's room was small but clean, with a window overlooking the city. In the distance, Marcus could see the skyline, the Willis Tower standing tall against the grey November sky. A nurse came in to set up Maya's IV. She was young, maybe mid-20s, with a warm smile and a badge that read, Certified Nursing Assistant, Emily Rodriguez. As she worked, she chatted with Maya about school, about favorite colors, about anything to distract from the needle going into her small arm. Marcus noticed Emily's badge more carefully then. The hospital logo, a stylized caduceus with Chicago Memorial Hospital, Healing with Heart, encircling it, was prominently displayed. But there was something else, a smaller badge attached to her lanyard, one he'd seen before but never really registered. It read, Second Chance Program, Building Futures Together. What's that? Marcus asked, pointing to the badge. Emily glanced down. Oh, this. It's a program the hospital runs. They partner with community organizations to provide job training and certification courses. I actually completed my CNA training through them. Changed my life, honestly. I was working 3 part-time jobs, barely making rent. The program was free, and they even helped with childcare while I studied. Something sparked in Marcus's mind. But before he could ask more, Dr. Simmons returned with a team of residents. They discussed Maya's treatment plan, broad-spectrum antibiotics, breathing treatments every 4 hours, continuous monitoring. Hours blurred together. Maya slept fitfully, her small body occasionally shaking with coughs that made Marcus's heart clench. He sat in the uncomfortable plastic chair beside her bed, refusing the nurse's offer of a cot in the family lounge. He wouldn't leave her side. As evening fell over Chicago, the city lights began to twinkle beyond the window. Marcus watched the traffic on the streets below, the endless stream of people going about their lives, unaware that his entire world was contained in this small hospital room. His phone buzzed. A text from his boss, Rodriguez. Hey man, heard about Maya. Take all the time you need. Your job will be here. Then another from Mrs. Chen, their elderly neighbor who sometimes watched Maya after school. I'm praying for your little girl. Let me know if you need anything. Marcus felt his throat tighten. He'd always been the one helping others, jumping someone's car battery in the parking lot, fixing the church van for free, teaching neighborhood kids how to change a tire. But accepting help, that was harder. Around 9 p.m., a new nurse arrived for the night shift. She was older, perhaps in her 50s, with kind eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. Her name tag read, Linda Patterson, RN. Mr. Webb, when's the last time you ate? She didn't wait for an answer. There's a cafeteria on the 2nd floor. It's not gourmet, but the soup's decent. Maya's stable. I'll watch her. You need to keep your strength up. Marcus wanted to refuse, but his stomach growled traitorously. He hadn't eaten since a rushed breakfast that morning, a bowl of cereal split with Maya because they were low on groceries. 10 minutes, he promised, squeezing Maya's hand gently before slipping out. The cafeteria was nearly empty at this hour. Marcus grabbed a cup of chicken noodle soup and a coffee, counting out exact change. As he sat at a table near the window, he pulled out his phone and opened his banking app. The numbers made his chest tight. $847.23. After rent, utilities, and Maya's medication, he'd have maybe $200 left. Rough day. Marcus looked up to find a man in his 60s standing nearby, holding a tray with a sandwich and coffee. He wore a hospital ID badge, but his clothes were casual, khakis and a sweater. His badge read, Robert Hamilton, Hospital Administrator. You could say that, Marcus replied, not really wanting conversation but too tired to be rude. Mind if I sit? I hate eating alone. Without waiting for permission, the man sat down across from Marcus. I'm Bob Hamilton. I volunteer here a few nights a week, mostly just walking around, talking to families. It's easy to feel alone in a hospital. Marcus Webb. They shook hands. Marcus noticed Bob's firm grip, the calluses that suggested he wasn't just a desk worker. What brings you here, Marcus? Something about Bob's genuine interest made Marcus talk. He told him about Maya, about the pneumonia, about being a single father trying to keep everything together with duct tape and prayer. He didn't mention the money worries. Some pride remained, but Bob seemed to read between the lines. You know, Bob said thoughtfully, stirring his coffee, I was a single father once. My wife passed when my kids were young. I remember sitting in a hospital room, much like you are now, wondering how I'd manage it all. But here's what I learned. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is let people help. Marcus nodded, not trusting his voice. The hospital has resources, Bob continued. Financial assistance programs, payment plans, charity care. Have you spoken with anyone in billing? Not yet, been focused on Maya. Of course, but tomorrow talk to them. Ask about our community assistance programs. We're not here to bankrupt families. Bob paused. There's something else. I couldn't help but overhear you asking the nurse about that second chance program badge. Marcus's attention sharpened. Yeah, she mentioned it was some kind of job training. It's much more than that. The hospital partners with local trade schools, community colleges and businesses to provide free certification courses. Medical assistant, phlebotomy, HVAC repair, automotive technology, all kinds of programs. Participants get job placement assistance, and many end up working here at the hospital or with our partner organizations. Automotive technology. Marcus's heart beat faster. He was good with his hands, had been fixing cars since he was 16, but he'd never had formal certification. Every job posting he saw wanted ASE certification, something he couldn't afford. How do you qualify? You fill out an application. Preference is given to community members facing economic hardship. The program covers tuition, books, sometimes even childcare. There's a cohort starting in January. Applications are due next week. Marcus felt something dangerous. Hope. I don't know. Maya needs me. My work schedule is crazy. I don't see how I could. The program is flexible, evening and weekend classes. And Marcus, Bob's expression was serious now. You can't pour from an empty cup. If you want to give Maya the life she deserves, you need to invest in yourself too. They talked for another 20 minutes. Bob gave Marcus his business card, made him promise to follow up, and then walked him back to the pediatric ward. At the doorway to Maya's room, Bob placed a hand on Marcus's shoulder. Your daughter is lucky to have you, but don't forget, you're worth investing in too. Marcus returned to find Maya awake, her eyes brighter than they'd been all day. Linda, the nurse, smiled. The antibiotics are starting to work. Her fever's down a degree. It's a good sign. As Marcus settled back into his chair, holding Maya's small hand, he thought about Bob's words, about investing in himself, about being strong enough to accept help. Outside the window, Chicago continued its endless rhythm. Somewhere out there, other single parents were fighting their own battles, other kids were getting sick, other families were struggling. But in this moment, in this room, Marcus made a decision. Tomorrow, he'd talk to Billing. He'd ask about the Second Chance program. He'd stop trying to carry everything alone. For Maya, and maybe, just maybe, for himself too. Maya spent 4 days in Chicago Memorial Hospital. 4 days during which Marcus learned the rhythm of the pediatric ward, the breakfast cart at 7 a.m., the gaggle of residents making rounds at 9, the breathing treatments every 4 hours that made Maya's small frame shake, but gradually cleared her lungs. By day 3, she was sitting up in bed, coloring pictures of their cat, Whiskers, and complaining about the bland hospital food. It was the most beautiful sound Marcus had ever heard. Dr. Simmons had been there constant through it all. She explained every medication, every procedure, always speaking to Maya first before addressing Marcus. On the morning of the 4th day, she arrived with her usual warm smile. "Good news," she announced, reviewing Maya's chart. "Her oxygen levels are back to normal, and her lungs sound much clearer. I think we can discharge her today with oral antibiotics and a strict follow-up schedule." Marcus felt a weight lift from his chest. "She's really okay. She's really okay. But Marcus, we need to talk about what happens next." Dr. Simmons pulled up a chair, her expression growing serious. "Maya's pneumonia was exacerbated by environmental factors. The nurse mentioned you live in a building with significant mold issues." Marcus shifted uncomfortably. Their apartment on the south side was old, the heating spotty, and yes, there was mold in the bathroom and around the windows. He'd tried cleaning it with bleach, but it always came back. "I'm working on finding us something better. It's just finding affordable housing in Chicago that's actually livable. It's not easy. I understand. I'm not judging. I'm concerned. Maya is predisposed to respiratory issues. Living in those conditions could mean this happens again." She paused. "Have you connected with social services? They have housing assistance programs." Pride warred with pragmatism in Marcus's chest. But he thought of Maya, of her struggling to breathe, and pragmatism won. "I'll reach out." "Good. Now let's talk about discharge instructions." An hour later, after a mountain of paperwork and a pharmacy bag full of medications, Marcus was wheeling Maya out of the hospital in a wheelchair. Hospital policy, even though she insisted she could walk. The November sun was shockingly bright after days under fluorescent lights. As they waited in the lobby for their Uber, Marcus's 2008 Honda Civic had died 3 months ago, and he hadn't been able to afford the transmission repair. A woman in professional attire approached them. "Mr. Webb, I'm Jennifer Martinez from Patient Financial Services. Do you have a moment?" Marcus's stomach clenched. Here it comes, he thought. The bill. Jennifer must have seen his expression because she smiled reassuringly. "Don't worry, I'm not here to ambush you. Dr. Simmons asked me to connect with you about financial assistance options. Is there somewhere we can talk?" They settled in a quiet corner of the lobby, Maya dozing in her wheelchair. Jennifer pulled out a tablet and several forms. "Okay, let's be straightforward. Maya's stay, including the ER visit, medications and all treatments, comes to $47,190. The number hit Marcus like a sledgehammer. Even knowing it would be bad, hearing it out loud made his vision swim. That was more than he made in a year. "However," Jennifer continued quickly, "you qualify for our charity care program. Based on your income, you reported annual earnings of approximately $38,000, correct?" Marcus nodded numbly. "With your income level and single-parent status, you qualify for a 90% reduction. That brings your responsibility down to approximately $4,189. We can set up a payment plan for as little as $100 a month, interest-free." Marcus did the math. $100 a month was still a stretch, but it was possible. It was survivable. "I can do that." "Excellent. I just need you to fill out these forms." As Marcus began writing, Jennifer added casually, "You know, Mr. Hamilton from administration mentioned you might be interested in the Second Chance program. Marcus's pen paused. He told you about that? Bob tells everyone about it. He's actually the one who started the program 15 years ago. His wife died of cancer, left him with 3 kids under 10. He was working as a hospital janitor at the time, barely scraping by. The hospital's CEO back then created a special program for employees to get additional training. Bob got his degree in healthcare administration while working nights. Eventually, he worked his way up to his current position. Marcus stared at her. I had no idea. He doesn't advertise it, but he's helped hundreds of people through the program since then. Changed their lives? Jennifer pulled up something on her tablet. The application is actually due this Friday. I took the liberty of pulling it up. Want me to email it to you? Yes, thank you. That evening, back in their small apartment, Marcus got Maya settled on the couch with blankets, crackers, and her favorite animated movie. He opened his laptop, a 6-year-old Dell that took 5 minutes to boot up, and pulled up the application. The questions were straightforward at first: name, address, employment history. Then they got deeper. Describe your current economic situation and how this program would impact your family. Or what are your career goals? What barriers have prevented you from advancing in your field? Marcus stared at the blank text boxes. How could he distill years of struggle into a few paragraphs? How could he explain what it felt like to be talented with his hands, to be the guy everyone called when their car broke down, but to be passed over for every promotion because he lacked a piece of paper saying he was certified? He began typing. I am a 32-year-old single father raising my 7-year-old daughter Maya on Chicago's South Side. For the past 12 years, I've worked as an automotive technician at Rodriguez Auto Repair. I'm good at what I do. Customers request me by name, and I can diagnose problems most mechanics miss. But without ASE certification, I'm stuck at $18 an hour, while certified techs at the dealership make $35 or more. My daughter was just hospitalized with pneumonia. The experience opened my eyes. I've been so focused on surviving day to day that I haven't thought about building a future. Maya deserves better than an apartment with mold, better than a father who's one emergency away from financial collapse. I deserve better too. The barriers I face are time and money. I can't afford certification courses that cost thousands of dollars. I can't attend classes during the day because I need to work. I can't risk my current job by taking time off to study. But the Second Chance program offers evening classes, covers costs, and provides job placement. It's exactly what I need. My career goal is simple: become a master certified technician, either at a dealership or by eventually opening my own shop. I want to show my daughter that hard work and education matter. I want her to grow up knowing her father didn't just survive, he thrived. Marcus read it over 3 times, made edits, then hit submit before he could overthink it. The next few days fell into a new routine. Maya stayed home from school, recovering under the watchful eye of Mrs. Chen, who refused any payment for babysitting. Marcus returned to work, where Rodriguez greeted him with a bear hug and an envelope containing donations from their regular customers, $300 to help with Maya's medical bills. People care about you, man, Rodriguez said gruffly. You've helped half these folks at some point. Let them return the favor. Marcus found himself tearing up in the garage, surrounded by the smell of motor oil and tire rubber, overwhelmed by unexpected kindness. On Thursday, his phone rang during his lunch break. Unknown number. Mr. Webb, this is Denise Thompson from Chicago Memorial Second Chance program. I'm calling about your application. Marcus's heart hammered. It had only been 5 days. Yes? Your application was very compelling. We'd like to interview you. Are you available tomorrow at 4 p.m.? Yes. Yes, I can be there. Great. The interview will be with our program director and one of our hospital administrators. Come to the Human Resources building, 3rd floor. And Mr. Webb, don't be nervous. We're rooting for you. That night, Marcus tried on his only dress shirt, the one he wore to Sarah's father's funeral 3 years ago. It was tight across the shoulders now, and there was a small stain on the collar he couldn't quite scrub out. He didn't own a tie. His newest pair of jeans would have to do. Maya watched from her bed as he practiced answering interview questions in front of the mirror. "Why do you want this opportunity?" "Because I want to give my daughter a better life. Because I'm tired of just getting by. Because I have skills that deserve recognition." "Daddy, you look nervous," Maya observed. "I am nervous, baby girl." "Don't be. You're the best daddy in the whole world. They'd be lucky to have you." Marcus crossed the room and hugged her tight. Out of the mouths of babes. Friday arrived cold and clear. Marcus left work at 3 p.m., promising Rodriguez he'd make up the hours. He took the bus to Chicago Memorial, arriving 20 minutes early. The Human Resources building was connected to the main hospital by a sky bridge. Marcus walked through it, looking down at the street below, at the people moving through their lives. The HR waiting room was professional and intimidating. Leather chairs, abstract art on the walls, a receptionist who barely looked up from her computer. "Webb? Third door on the left." Marcus knocked and a woman's voice called, "Come in." The office was large, with windows overlooking the city. 3 people sat behind a conference table, a black woman in her 50s wearing a pantsuit, a younger man with a laptop, and Marcus froze. Sitting at the end of the table, smiling warmly, was Bob Hamilton. "Marcus, good to see you again. Please have a seat." Bob gestured to the chair across from them. "Let me introduce you. This is Denise Thompson, our program director, and Michael Okonkwo, our placement coordinator." Marcus shook hands, his palm embarrassingly sweaty. Denise took the lead. "Marcus, we've reviewed your application and your background. Before we dive into questions, I want you to understand what this program entails. It's a 6-month intensive course leading to ASE Master Technician certification. Classes are Tuesday and Thursday evenings, 6 to 9 p.m., plus Saturday mornings, 8 to 12. It's rigorous. Many participants struggle to balance it with work and family. Can you commit to that schedule? Marcus thought of Maya. Tuesday and Thursday evenings, Mrs. Chen could watch her. Saturdays would be tougher, but maybe he could work something out. "I can commit." "Good. Now tell us about a time you faced a significant challenge and how you overcame it." Marcus took a breath. He told them about Sarah leaving, about learning to braid hair by watching YouTube videos, about Maya's asthma diagnosis 2 years ago and how he'd taught himself about triggers and treatments. He told them about the time his car died, and he rode a bicycle 8 miles to work every day for 3 months until he'd saved enough to fix it. "I'm not going to pretend it's been easy," Marcus concluded, "but I've never given up. Not on my daughter, not on myself. This program isn't just about certification for me. It's about showing Maya that when life knocks you down, you get back up. You invest in yourself. You build something better." The interview lasted 45 minutes. They asked about his technical knowledge. He aced those questions. They asked about his support system. He was honest about it being thin but strong. They asked about his goals. He painted a picture of eventually opening Webb's Auto, a community-focused shop that offered affordable repairs and hired mechanics from programs like Second Chance. As it wrapped up, Bob spoke for the first time since introductions. "Marcus, I'm going to be direct. I've been involved with this program since its inception. I've interviewed hundreds of candidates. Most come in with desperation, which is understandable. But you came in with something else. Purpose. You're not just looking for a handout. You're looking for a hand up. That's the difference." Marcus felt his throat tighten. "I just want to do right by my kid." "And that," Denise said with a smile, "is exactly the attitude we're looking for." They stood, shook hands again. "We'll be in touch by Monday," Denise promised. Marcus rode the bus home in a daze. Maya was waiting at the window when he arrived, and she burst out the door. "How did it go? How did it go?" He scooped her up, ignoring the protest from his back. "I think it went well, baby girl. I really think it did." That weekend felt like the longest of Marcus's life. He worked his shifts at the garage, played endless games of Go Fish with Maya, and tried not to check his phone every 5 minutes. Monday morning arrived. Marcus was under a Toyota Camry, replacing brake pads, when his phone buzzed in his pocket. He almost ignored it. Rodriguez had a strict no-phones policy on the floor, but something made him check. Email from Denise Thompson. Subject, Second Chance Program. Congratulations. Marcus's hands shook as he opened it. Dear Marcus, we are pleased to inform you that you have been accepted into the Chicago Memorial Second Chance Program's Winter 2024 cohort. Your classes begin on January 9th. He didn't read the rest. He rolled out from under the car, stood up so fast he nearly hit his head, and let out a whoop that echoed through the entire garage. Rodriguez came running. What? What happened? I got in. I got into the program. His boss's stern expression melted into a grin. Well, hell. Congratulations, man. This calls for a celebration. Everyone lunches on me today. As the garage erupted in cheers, Marcus stepped outside into the cold December air. He called Maya. Mrs. Chen put her on and told her the news. That's amazing, Daddy. I'm so proud of you. I'm proud of us, baby. We're going to build something better. Together. After hanging up, Marcus stood there for a moment, looking up at the gray Chicago sky. For the first time in years, the future didn't feel like something to survive. It felt like something to build. January in Chicago was brutal. The kind of cold that turned your breath into visible puffs of frost and made your fingers ache even through gloves. But as Marcus walked through the doors of Chicago Memorial's Education Center for his first night of class, he barely noticed the temperature. The classroom was in a building adjacent to the hospital, a renovated space that still smelled faintly of fresh paint. 23 students filled the rows of desks, a diverse mix of ages, backgrounds and stories. Marcus recognized a few faces from around the neighborhood. Terrence Johnson, who worked the night shift at the 7-Eleven, and Amira Hassan, a single mother of 3 who cleaned offices downtown. Welcome to the Second Chance Program's ASE Master Technician Certification course. D. The instructor, a barrel-chested man in his 60s with grease permanently under his fingernails, wrote his name on the board, Frank Morrison. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This is the hardest thing most of you will ever do. You're working full-time jobs, raising families, and now you're adding 20 hours of weekly study to that load. Some of you won't make it. That's not a judgment, it's statistics. But for those who do, you're looking at career-level jobs, family-sustaining wages, and the pride of knowing you earned every damn bit of it. The first week was overwhelming. Marcus had been fixing cars for 12 years, but formal education was different. There were textbooks thick as phone books, technical diagrams, and terminology he'd never heard despite his experience. Fuel injection mapping, diagnostic trouble codes, the intricacies of hybrid systems and electric vehicles. Tuesday and Thursday nights, Marcus would leave the garage at 5:30, grab a quick dinner from the taco truck on the corner, and race to class. He'd study until 9 p.m., then catch the bus home, arriving at 10. Maya would be in bed, but she'd leave him little notes. Good luck studying, Daddy, with crayon drawings of cars. Saturdays were harder. The classes ran from 8 a.m. to noon, which meant missing his half-day shift at the garage. Rodriguez was understanding, but the lost income stung. Marcus started picking up whatever side work he could, changing oil in driveways, doing brake jobs in parking lots, anything to make up the difference. Mrs. Chen watched Maya on Saturdays, refusing payment despite Marcus's protests. You're investing in your future, the elderly woman insisted in her accented English. This is my investment in your success. Someday, when you have your own shop, you remember Mrs. Chen and give someone else a break. 3 weeks into the program, Marcus hit his first wall. They were covering electronic diagnostic systems, and he couldn't grasp the concepts. Everything he'd learned through hands-on experience suddenly felt inadequate. He failed the module quiz, a 62% when he needed 70% to pass. That Thursday night, he stayed after class, staring at the failed test. Struggling? Frank Morrison pulled up a chair beside him. "I don't get it," Marcus admitted. "I can hear a misfire and know exactly which cylinder is bad. I can diagnose a transmission problem from how the car shifts. But this?" He gestured at the textbook. "Reading about voltage drops and resistance values. It's like a foreign language." Frank nodded thoughtfully. "You're a field mechanic. Nothing wrong with that. Some of the best technicians I've known work purely by intuition. But modern vehicles? They're computers with wheels. You need to understand the language they speak." He paused. "What you need is a bridge between what you know and what you need to learn. Tell you what, I'll give you extra tutoring. Wednesday evenings, 7 p.m., right here. No charge. But you have to commit to doing the work." Marcus felt his eyes sting. Another person extending kindness. "I'll be here." True to his word, Marcus showed up every Wednesday. Frank was a tough teacher, but patient. He'd connect the theoretical concepts to practical applications Marcus understood. Voltage drop? It's like water pressure in a hose. Resistance? That's like trying to drink through a straw versus a garden hose. Slowly it clicked. Marcus retook the module quiz and scored 89%. As winter deepened, the program tested everyone. Terence from the 7-Eleven dropped out after his hours got cut and he couldn't afford his rent. Amira missed 3 weeks when her youngest got sick. The class that started with 23 was down to 17 by February. Marcus persevered through his own challenges. His car, still broken, became a project vehicle for practice. On Saturday afternoons after class, he'd work on it in the parking lot behind their apartment. Maya helping by handing him tools and asking endless questions. "Why do you need to replace the transmission fluid, Daddy?" "Because it gets dirty, baby girl. Like changing the oil. It keeps everything running smooth." "Like when I take a bath?" Marcus laughed. "Exactly like that." Fixing his own car became a practical application of everything he was learning. He documented each step, took photos, wrote notes. Frank encouraged it. Real learning happens when you do it yourself. Make mistakes, figure it out. By March, something had shifted. Marcus wasn't just surviving the program, he was excelling. His test scores climbed into the 90s. He started answering questions in class, helping other students who struggled. The knowledge he'd accumulated through years of hands-on work was finally being validated and enhanced by formal education. One evening after class, Denise Thompson pulled him aside. "Marcus, have you thought about what comes next, after you're certified? Getting a better job, I hope. Maybe at one of the dealerships. You're thinking too small." She handed him a business card. "This is Lawrence Chen. No relation to your neighbor, Mrs. Chen, but wouldn't that be something? He owns Chen's Automotive, a small chain of repair shops on the north side. He's looking for certified techs, and he specifically recruits from our program. Starting wage is $32 an hour with benefits. I already mentioned your name." Marcus stared at the card. $32 an hour. That was, he did quick math, over $60,000 a year. More than he'd ever made in his life.